Good morning, everyone. We all know what time it is.
What time is it?
It's 7:30 in the morning. It's the Monday after St. Patty's Day weekend, and it was next to impossible getting out of bed.
The day before spring.
Everything's so hurdy in the morning. It is the day before spring, isn't it?
That's what I said.
But hey, at least we didn't wake up dead. No, that's right. We didn't wake up dead.
Although sometimes it's hard to tell.
Yeah, this morning was feeling it.
I think more from the hike rather than from the
We had a
celebration.
fantastic hike yesterday. Where was that? We went Money Rocks. Money Rocks was a great hike, and what you just said, we were getting the rust off of our hinges, and yeah, it felt that way. Welcome to Posturing for Your Day. My name is Bill.
I'm Gina.
And we're going to start each week. We've been starting on a different kind of a series or a theme. And this theme, this week, we're going to focus on breath work. Now, I know that usually we don't think of breathing as work, but there's actual breath work that we would like to teach you because, and I'll tell you where this came from. I have a client, bad scoliosis, bad kyphosis. If you know what kyphosis is, it's the hunchback. And I've been working on her for years. And one thing I've noticed is when I say, take a nice deep breath in, here's what I get. And that's it. And when I try to slow her breathing down, like I even tried to get her to count to the 3, breathe in on the count of like 1, 2, 3, should be one long breath in, she really can't do it. It's hard work for her to learn how to take a slow breath in. So we were talking about that. And all of a sudden it hit me. I thought, as body workers, we're working from the outside in. We're trying to take this structure and this form and kind of reposture it from working from the outside. Our breath work allows us to massage ourselves from the inside out. Now, that may not make sense to you, but think of it this way. It's the only organ in your body that expands and gets big with every breath. And so in order for those lungs to expand, it has to push the rib cage, and it has to push all the muscles, and it has to push all the organs, everything, and especially the spinal column, which I'm hoping we'll kind of touch on today. I don't know. I'm not sure what you have lined up yet, but we'll find out.
We'll find out.
But I want you to think about your lungs as a tool to massage your body and your organs from the inside. So when we take that deep breath in, and we pay attention to what's being pushed on and what's being pressed. Because what I realized with this lady is her breath work, because she's so hunched over, first of all, she's not going to breathe in that much because there's no room for the lungs to go. But by forcing that breath work in with a little bit of using the Qigong example of suspending your head from a string, I believe she can use those lungs as a means of straightening out her body from the inside. It's kind of like cashing in on the tensegrity aspect of our fascia. Because don't forget, we're not just talking about muscles and ligaments. We're talking about the fascial system. And that breath, those lungs expanding, is going to reconstruct your anatomy from the inside out. Think of this as an illustration. If you've ever seen a plastic milk jug and it's compressed, and you want to straighten that milk jug out and put it back to its normal shape, you can try pushing from the outside in all you want, and you're not going to get out the wrinkles and the creases. So what do? You put your mouth over the opening and you blow into it like a balloon, and it pop, 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 and it comes back. And I think that that's what we can do with our lungs. I'm excited about this because I had never even thought about it until I was speaking with her. And I had this sort of aha moment, and I said, I know what we're doing this week.
going to do some intentional breathing first, just, using visualization. Again, in Qigong, imagination and visualization is a very powerful piece of the movement. So we'll start there, and then we'll just do some actual physical stuff just to start to create more space in the rib cage.
Awesome.
From a manual way.
Well, I'm going to put this over here and get out of your way. I heard that.
Yeah, I know. I don't know why I did that. I always tell my clients, don't do that.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. I did it. It felt good, though. All right. So we've kind of touched on this before. We're just going to, based on what Bill was just talking about, go into it a little bit more intentionally. When we start in the Wu Qi position, where you're grounding yourself through your feet and positioning your body parts above your ankles in such a way that you feel balanced and stable. And then when we breathe, we're using our breath and our imagination, in a sense, to imagine with each inhale a sense of expansion, not just in the lungs, but in the joints. But we're just going to focus on the spine today as we start. So just get into a comfortable position. You can do this part of it sitting if you like, but just make sure that you're sitting on your sit bones, your pelvis is neutral, and your upper body is balanced on top of the pelvis. But if you're standing, that's good too. So just take a moment to touch base with the weight over your feet, over more the back end of the feet, the ankles and the heels, and then positioning your pelvis over that spot. As we're kind of going up the chain and just tweaking our position a little bit so we feel more balanced, so the tailbone's tucked under slightly, rib cage is relaxed, shoulders are relaxed. We bring our awareness to the top of the head, where we imagine a string on the top of the head, or as Bill likes to reference, alfalfa, if you remember him. Pointy hair pulling up. So it's a gentle pull up because we also want to stay grounded in our feet. So it's almost like you're being gently elongated from head to feet. And with your breathing, with each inhale, just feeling that pull up, feeling it through the spine, skull connected to the cervical vertebrae, to the thoracic, lumbar, all the way down to the tailbone. And exhale, just a little bit of relaxation, not so much compression. Just take a few breaths like this. Inhale, lifting up, and exhale. And the tendency here might be you want to emphasize that feeling of lifting up by pulling the shoulders up. So see if you could just keep your shoulders relaxed and just purely imagine the elongation without trying to force it with your upper body. Inhale. Imagining the vertebrae separating slightly, opening up the discs. And then exhale. And one more. And out. Actually, let's just do one more because it's nice. Inhale. And out. Right. So we're going to do a few breaths now where we're dropping down into the lower abdomen. And I've cued this before, where you're imagining the space in between the navel and the pubic bone, what we call the lower dantian, and it's internal. And we're going to drop our breath into this space and just expand the lower abdomen. You can place your hands here if you like, if that helps. Just keep your attention here. And as you inhale, as your diaphragm pushes down, the abdomen expands and contract slightly under your hands with the exhale. And again. And exhale. So even with these subtle movements, remember, we're massaging our organs as well. I mean, there's musculature and tissue around the organs, and they need space and they need motion and movement to fulfill their functions as well. So we're giving them that stimulation and that space. One more breath in and out. Again, just watch your shoulders. Let your shoulders be heavy and hang down. Now you can bring your hands over to your sides. We're going to expand the abdomen this way, and it may not be a real dramatic sense, but again, we're visualizing here. So you're imagining your breath opening up the sides of the abdomen. You might notice one a little more than the other. At least I am. Now you're going to bring your hands to your back. And this may require a lot more visualization, but again, we're imagining breathing in, letting the back muscles, the areas around the kidney expand into your hands with the in-breath. A little more concentration required here, I think. We don't think about breathing into our back. Let's take one more breath in. And releasing it. I'm going to place your hand on your sternum. We're going to breathe into the upper rib cage now. We've been working on the abdomen, but at first this is just a little experiment to see what happens when I cue you to breathe into the upper part of your rib cage. Can you do this without lifting the shoulders up? This is a method of breathing a lot of our clients tend to have as well, which can lead to a lot of tension in the neck and the shoulders as we use our scaling muscles, which Bill talked about last week, to lift up the rib cage. Here's if you can expand it from the inside rather than trying to pull it up with the shoulders and the ribs. So we'll just take a couple breaths there. This can be a little challenging. Especially as, and one thing I notice is, the collarbone attaches here to the sternum, and that's a joint that can get a little sticky and stuff, but that's required to have some opening, that hinging, in order to be able to expand your chest without the shoulders going with it. So just be aware of that. One more breath. Okay, so that was an exercise.
I like that. I like putting hands on the side.
Yeah, it helps, I think, when you can touch places and feel what's happening under your hands, under the tissue. You can feel the expansion or not, or where it wants to go. When you can't move something, what else is moving in its place? So on that note, what we're going to do next is just a little exercise to help strengthen the muscles within the ribs, because we have these intercostal muscles that should be expanding and contracting as your rib cage expands and contracts, and they can get stuck. So there isn't anywhere for the lungs to go. This is sort of a resistance exercise. If you can, bring your hands to your lower rib cage, and you're going to just give a little gentle pressure here. So it's like we're compressing the ribs, and then with the inhale, you're going to keep that compression. So it's like you're pushing against your resistance. So as you inhale, push your hands in slightly to hold your rib cage. And then exhale. Just relax the hands. In. And out. So again, using your visualization to, like, you're pushing against your hands with your breath, but your hands are not releasing. They're pushing back in a sense, but gently.
Don't go cracking.
Don't go
ribs.
cracking your own ribs and calling me, saying I crack my ribs. You know. Okay, let's do a couple more of those. This is one you can practice too with a like one of those elastic stretchy bands. You can pull it around and wear that for a little bit. Katie's recommended a pair of pantyhose. I don't know who has pantyhose anymore. I sure don't, but that's, you know, something that's
Don't look at me.
both stretchy, but still gives a little bit of resistance.
And what's the purpose of putting the resistance there? What are we accomplishing? Are we forcing the air to go different, or just to get a feel for the muscles working, or what is it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a strengthening exercise for the intercostal muscles. So it's a way of making them work a little bit harder. You know, we're giving a weight load to those muscles,
Okay.
in a sense. All right, so let's see. Let's do a side-to-side stretch. And we've done this before as well, but again, thinking about the breathing as we're putting the rib cage in different positions, and then just breathing into the stretch, again, opening up the rib cage and the diaphragm area. So come back to our neutral position. I'm going to breathe in, inhale, and exhale. Did I have that right? In, out. Yes. And then breath in and out. Let's pause here for a second and take another breath in through the rib cage and out. And then inhale and out. And pause, breathe in and out. Let's go to the other side. So as you're breathing in, just imagining the space and the ribs opening with the in-breath. And you can change the angle a little bit, so you can come directly to the side. If you come forward a little bit, you'll feel that line of tension coming down from the shoulder blade into the edge of the top of the pelvis and the back, which can be nice. Let's do one more over to the other side. Come up and release the arms. Shake out the shoulders. All right, so the last one we're going to do is not really so much a stretch for the breathing, but it's kind of a nice move for the spine and the spinal connections from the center of the spine all the way out through the shoulders and into the arms. It's just a nice ending piece. It's one of many called swimming dragon. There's many manifestations of swimming dragons I've found. Dragon moves generally have to do with the spine and loosening up the energy in the spine. All right, so we're going to bring the hands up solar plexus level. And then we're going to bring the hands, the left hand's going to come out, palm face up. Right hand comes back, palm face down. And then they come together in breath. and then exhale. And in and out. And in and out. So as you got the palms in the right configuration, just relax into this. This is a movement where the spine is the center of the move and we're rolling it back and forth, and the arms are just relaxed and fluid. Just feeling the tissue, the muscle around the vertebrae opening up with each breath and loosening up.
I guess it's a breath in here, and then a breath out.
Mm-hmm. Actually, I might have been doing that the other way. I'll take it. Inhale to center, and then exhale as you spread the hands out. Let's do a couple more. And inhale back to center and relax. And just take another moment to reconnect with your stance. Breathe in, feel your feet on the floor, feel the string pulling up from the top of the head. Just notice that sense of relaxed stability, but also elongation through the spine. More freedom of movement through the vertebrae, through the rib cage, through the abdomen. Okay. Any comments about that? Please send them on. Any questions? Yeah.
That was awesome.
I like that.
Excuse me. A couple points I wanted to make, and one is, one of the challenges that Gina and I have is how do we reclaim restorative movement throughout our day? We always think of going to the gym or going someplace to do our exercises, and I think breath work is the perfect example of something you can do in the office, in the car, when you're standing in the checkout line. Nobody even has to know you're doing it unless you start doing the dragon stuff. That might draw some attention, but just thinking about expanding the upper chest or the sides. I liked when you put the hands on the sides. Always being mindful of the alfalfa, right? The string suspending you. These are things we can do virtually everywhere we go throughout our day. Second point that struck me was the role of imagination. And we didn't get too into this. But, Gina's talking a lot about imagining things are expanding and imagining things are lengthening. And that may sound a little woo-woo and out there for people. But think of it this way. When you're worried or when you're angry, your blood pressure goes up, okay? Emotions, and worry is a good one because worry is imagination run amok. And when we're worrying about something and it changes our anatomy, that tells me there's a direct connection between our thought life, our imagination, and our body actually following suit. So all we're saying is, if that process is already there, let's recapture it and point it in the right direction. Let's imagine our spine elongating, and the body will adapt by elongating the spine because the brain is telling it to. So it's not really out there woo-woo stuff. It really is a part of our natural functioning and working.
Yep.
So there you go. She always agrees with me. All right, we're going to let you get on with your day, and we're going to get on with ours with this closing thought by Albert Schweitzer. I don't know what your destiny will be, but one thing I know, the only ones among you who will be really happy are those who have sought and found how to serve. So there you have it. Join us again, 7:30 a.m. Wednesday morning. We'll be back with more breathing stuff. And I guess that's it. That's all the news is fit to print.
Can I serve you more coffee?
And she can serve me more coffee because that's
That
the
makes
only
me
way.
happy.
That's the only way you're going to find true happiness. There's a ham sandwich joke in here, but I'm not
Okay,
making
that's
it.
all right. We're done. See ya.